Hey guys, welcome back to releasethecraftin. Priscilla here with another different sort of video for you guys this time. I thought about this after a conversation I had with April, and it sort of made me want to say something about it, especially because I recorded this dud immediately afterwards, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to bring this to my channel. I'm just going to bring this up and see what everybody thinks and how everybody feels about it. I think it's something that needs to be said. So yeah. This won't be a long one, but join me for the journey that we're about to go on. So I wanted to talk about failure and just like the aspect of failure in art, and how common failure is. Because you see, when I started this like video here, what I was looking for was about 10 minutes of filler video for the end of one of my story crafts that I couldn't stretch out more because it would look ridiculous if I tried to make a fast video slower, like super slow. So I put this together. It was like a good opportunity for me to see how these mermaid markers I have work on this sticker paper, and if I could use them for a larger concept video that I had going forward, because I want to revisit this like homemade washi tape idea. And so I was like, well, let me try these markers, let me try this paper, let me see what happens. And I don't know what my brain was anticipating. Part of it was probably because I was rushing to get this done so I could tack it onto the end of the video and like make it all work out. But like along the way, I just continued to have like a series of failures where things didn't work out the way that I envisioned them working out. Part of it probably had a lot to do with not slowing down and taking the time to be like, okay, how do these normally act? Why would they act different in this situation? But I didn't do that. And so then I tried to like recover from the failure, but I didn't like wait for things to dry, and that made me more frustrated. And then I just got progressively more and more frustrated trying to fix a failure that wouldn't have been a failure had I slowed down and just, you know, used my brain cells to make it happen. And by the end of it, I was like, well, this is garbage. I can't share this. And when I went to go add it to the back of that video, I was like, this is really bad. Like, this is something bad. You can't share it. And usually, like, if I mess something up, I usually test stuff out before I share it with you guys anyways. So you guys normally see a more finished project. A lot of the, like, ephemera I make tends to be, like, experiment with me. But you can recover like fucked up ephemera, I think, but it's harder with stuff like this that's like mixed media. You can just continue adding layers until you come up with something you like, and that's true, but you can't do that if you're in a rush, right? So like as I watched it, you know, back through, and I was just staring at this like failure of a video on the end of a video that was successful, I was like, well, you can't put these two together. You have to come up with something else for this like 10-minute spot. So just scrap this. And then I thought, you know what, that's not fair to the people who watch my channel. It's not fair to me. Like, this is part of the process. As an artist, you have to fail to succeed, because you have to learn from your mistakes. You grow this way, but also like sometimes you're just creating to create. Sometimes you're creating randomly, and it doesn't work out, and that's okay. It's all right. But I think what happens is that we get stuck in this sort of mindset that if we're not perfect, then we're bad at it, and you know that sort of leads to that feeling of not being a good enough artist, not being worthy of your art, but also of imposter syndrome, where you're just like, oh, I can't call myself an artist because I failed. And maybe it's not just one failure that puts you in this mindset; it's a series of failures that puts you in this mindset, and enough failures will deter anybody from, you know, pursuing their joy and doing the things that make them happy. And sometimes, you know, it's just a process. Like, you know, people will say like, trust the journey, and that's sometimes true. Like, sometimes the result is better than the journey. Like, that's just facts. Fly for 10 hours anywhere, the end of that flight is the best part of the journey. But like, in art, it is a journey. Like, you have to develop a style, you have to develop yourself, and that takes time. It also takes error. It takes trial and error. And I think it's okay to not always be happy with everything you make. It's okay to revisit things that you tried to do later if you don't feel like they look the way that they're supposed to now, you can always come back to it. And it's okay to share those failures, especially in your community, because you're talking to other artists who will also be like, hey, I know what you're going through. I feel the same way. Here's some suggestions and some ideas for how you might be able to improve upon this piece. And that's not something that you can get in every sort of creative field. Well, in most creative fields, but in most fields, I guess we'll say, specifically, you don't always have that community support where people can be like, hey, I see that you're struggling. Here's some ideas on how I can help you. Or like, hey, this isn't actually as bad as you think it is. It's something unique to art in general, but I think also really something I really cherish about being in a specific artist community is being able to turn to somebody else in that community and be like, help. Like, what do you think I can do here? And I think when we hold back on where we're struggling and when we feel like we're failing, we're preventing ourselves from getting the help we need, because sometimes you just need another set of eyes. And so, like, yeah, after I got done making this washi tape, I was really unhappy with it. And I spent some time like away from the desk, and I came back and I was like, what do you do? Like, you failed. You're horrible. You're awful. People aren't going to believe you're a real artist if you show them this. And then I was like, actually, not showing them this is probably what keeps me from being a real artist, because to you guys, it seems like, everything I make is perfect and correct all the time. Everything's like above par. What, I don't know words. It's everything is perfect what I put out, because I'm sharing content with you, and that's like the I guess the side of like content creating that not a lot of people talk about or share their experiences with, because I'm sharing to you guys finished products, things that I've already tested out. Sometimes I just record like what I'm doing, and if it's successful, I share it. And if it's not, I just go, well, delete, start over, next thing, right? And I move on, and I don't think about that in the way that impacts you. And if you're like new to this community or new to just like art in general, that might be really discouraging. And I guess like that's something we need to talk about more, and people need to get a little bit more comfortable admitting that they're not always perfect, or they're not making a successful product every time they sit down to do art. Because if you're new to something and you see all these people are perfect and no one ever makes a mistake and stuff like that, like, I mean, how are you going to get your feet in if you don't mess it up? You're going to make one error and decide that this isn't for you and move on to the next thing. And it just sort of makes the space a lot more closed than it should be. It should be open. It should be a place that you feel comfortable expressing your failures in. If you guys have like similar experience with this kind of thing, or examples of it, memories where you failed and then somehow maybe managed to turn that around, share that in the comments, because I think that's really useful. I think part of the thing that I really enjoy about junk journals and like doing papercraft in general is that I fuck up a lot. I fuck up a lot, you guys, like a lot more than I think you maybe see or notice, but I fuck up in the videos, and then I just keep rolling with it, because something about this medium makes it very easy for me to be like, okay, well, you fucked this up, like, just continue on. You'll figure out how to patch this up later as you go along. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and I'm just like, well, shoot, let's toss this to the side, keep going. Come back to it when you have a brilliant idea. But most of the time I find that a lot of these things are salvageable. Like, if I make a mistake, I can come back and I can repair that somehow by adding something over the top of it, or, using some washi tape to stick it together, or, just sort of coming up with ways to fix an error. But in things like painting and mixed media, I find myself a lot more critical of how I approach that, which then leads to me being like, well, you can't share this because it's not perfect and there's no way to recover from this loss, which is not true. Especially in mixed media, I literally could have gone back on top of this washi tape and just added like another coat of paint, like acrylic paint over it, and salvaged some of that, used a stencil, but I didn't. I was just mad, so I was like, let me just finish this, get it done, see if I can salvage the video. I couldn't salvage the video until now, when I decided to make it a different type of content for you guys, because I just thought this was like an important conversation to have, and I just wanted to put it out there. Like, I'm not the best at this. I'm not even close to the best at this. I'm learning every time I sit down at my craft table, just like everybody else is. And if you find yourself encountered like with a creator who is displaying like they never make errors and that's not a thing, like this comes so naturally and easy to them that they never fuck up even once, like run away from that person, because that person is artificial. And they're not going to be good for your mental headspace, I think. And I think you deserve to treat yourself with the same compassion and charity you would treat others with. And if you feel like you're a failure, take that failure, show it to somebody else, let them treat you the way that you're supposed to be treated so that you can treat yourself better going forward. Your failures don't mean that you're bad at art, they mean that you are learning. And if you are no longer failing, you're no longer learning, at which point you have failed at art, because you should always be learning and growing and moving forward as you progress on your creative journey. And yeah, I guess that's just, I just wanted to talk to you guys about this. I thought it was something relevant that I could talk about. It sort of struck a chord for me, how often I delete stuff that's like quote unquote a failure. I don't share the entire process with you guys. And so it sort of leads to people commenting about like this supernatural like ability that I have, and I'm like, it's not true, because I had to fail to get here. And I think that's okay. And I think it's something we should talk about more, and you guys should be okay. And also just be aware, like, there's a whole community of people here who will jump on the opportunity to help you just because they like to share the knowledge that they've accumulated. So if you feel like that, if there's something you're stuck on, you can always tag me. You can tag my crafty buddies. You can tag anybody in this community and just be like, hey, can you help me with this? And if they don't help you with this, they're a jerk. That's my like final answer. Because there's always another perspective you can get that kind of helps you get unstuck. And sometimes just having like a word of encouragement, because it might not be as bad as you think it is, and you're just being extra harsh on yourself. So just another set of eyes to be like, hey, this actually doesn't suck as much as you think. But at the end of the day, like, I'm now just sort of repeating myself. So I'm going to jump off here. It turns out I don't actually hate this washi tape entirely. I think it's kind of cool now that I've cut it all up and I can see it like in the pieces as washi. I'm like, okay, I kind of like this idea better. So this will be used, and I won't just sort of toss this washi tape into a scrap pile to never be seen again until I clean out my craft room and throw it away in shame. It's not going to happen. I've shown it to you. It'll come back. I'll use it. I don't hate it as much as I originally thought. I do think I could do more to it, but I'm not going to do it because I'll just be overworking it. And I'm going to move on, and I'm going to make a better video of this idea that I have next time. And you know, you'll see I improved my thoughts, because I realized you can't make these stupid fucking markers act like watercolor if you just drop them on top of the paper. That really threw me off to begin with, and I don't know why I thought it would be different. Don't ask me. My brain wasn't functioning. I hope that this conversation was useful for you guys. If you want to hear more stuff like this, like just my thoughts on things like this, let me know, because I know I don't do a lot of chatty videos with you guys anymore. It's mostly like structured videos of content that I research beforehand, like Storycraft or Mini Magic, or even like the tarot segments are sort of more concentrated in research because I prepare what I'm going to talk about beforehand. I didn't prepare anything for this. I wrote no notes, so this is all stream of consciousness. Don't cancel me. But if you would like more content like this, let me know. I think I need like some kind of topic to talk about. So if there's something you wanted me to talk about, also let me know, because that would go a lot further in getting this sort of content off the ground, or, you know, getting my brain to produce it for you. But yeah, I think I enjoyed this little talk. I enjoyed this time together. You can witness my failure here before you. And I will catch you guys all in the next one. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate your faces. Till next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye!